Of course, it is Women's Month, and we're taking tea this morning. Township Entrepreneur Alliance, or T, says that township entrepreneurship is seen as a key to economic growth and also the reduction of poverty and unemployment. The organization says that women in townships play an integral part in economic growth in these areas. Now, T is an organization that helps township entrepreneurs with accessing information and says that a large part of entrepreneurs that they work with are women. And joining us now is Bulelani Balabala, who is the founder of T, to talk to us about the role women play in township entrepreneurship. Thanks so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
So I don't think this comes as a surprise to many of us that women indeed are the heartbeat of entrepreneurship within townships. But as someone who works at grassroots level, just explain to us some of the challenges that they face.
It is true. Women, I believe that SMMEs are the backbone of our economy in driving the employment that we require, but majority of those are women. And I mean, you look across the board, even from a corporate level, the people who come up with the creative ideas, the creative concepts that run the organizations are women, although to a certain degree they are muzzled. And I mean, the challenges vary across the board. And I think the reason why we take a special focus in some of the programs that we run really is purely because there's a set of challenges that you face as an entrepreneur, number one, as a township entrepreneur, number two, but as a woman who's trying to operate in the township and grow a multinational organization, there's a different set of challenges that you also then come across. You then come across challenges where, because of the fact that you're of the opposite sex, your male counterparts are your male counterparts, the perception of you is that maybe you're going to deliver an inferior service. You show up to meetings and presentations and proposals, and instead of engaging you based on what you're bringing to the playing field, they'd rather engage you based on sexuality. And it's just really, the challenges then really become difficult because there's a perception that says that if a man brings it, if a man is vocal about it, then let's give him a chance and let's hear him out. But if it's a woman, let's test it. Let's go to the research institutions and check who gave this research, who's coming up with these solutions, so that we can validate whether or not they are worthy. And I think that the stance that we need to then take is that if the idea is great, if the idea is good quality, if the idea is cost effective to whatever you deem as cost effective, then support that individual by purchasing their product, and let's buy proudly South African products.
So just in terms of contribution to the country's economy, the township entrepreneurship space and women in particular, how is that contributing to the bigger picture? So,
I mean, the township economy in and itself is worth about 100 billion plus, right? But that is money that is taking place in and above the entrepreneurial play that is happening in the ground. It is now deemed and is called the unseen economy, which in fact, I think for us who live in and around that economy, for us it's seen economy. And the big question really is, how then do you integrate and identify those entrepreneurs? And what we haven't done as a country and as a systemized, country and corporate as well, is we haven't then come up with products that identify individuals or who are running their businesses who aren't even registered. Because when you drive through the township, every third or second corner that you come across, there's at least 3 or 4 abomama who are selling different products. Right, and to the point that, and to the point where you then see that this entrepreneurship thing is inherent. You find 6 of them in the same corner selling the same thing, but they're still in business and they're still selling money. That then goes back to the fact that that then goes to the fact that they understand business in and itself, and they're able to identify the unique selling proposition. Because how is it that you're able to sell the product in the same corner? That in itself is the mall concept, because the mall concept is being able to create a retail space with 30 or 50 different brands or retail outlets that are selling literally the same thing during a fashion season. So we are then saying that the government's role in and itself should be systemizing these businesses, productizing these businesses, and having them being able to assist us in us driving the change for them to be the ones who are actually listed in the local malls at the end of the day. Because the same Mam Dlamini who's been selling Magwenya for the past 8 years, she's been selling them for 1 rand for the past 8 years. But there's a certain retail brand that sells them for about 38 rand for a tray of 8 or 9, and they even miniature. They've got men's ingredients and cheese in it. So that says that we've never lacked the ability to create. We've always been creating. Our mothers have been creating. Women have been creating. Women have been at the forefront. But do we recognize them? And over and above recognizing them, are we willing to give them a chance in the market to dominate the market?
And those are critical questions. But you have an upcoming workshop
Yes.
whereby you will strive to help small businesses. Talk to us about that. Give us some details.
So part of what we've been doing is we've got a build-up workshop in Davao. So these are free workshops that we host. We've been hosting in and around the country. And the aim of these workshops really is to capacitate entrepreneurs, is to build them up, is to create mentorship sessions. So more than just a talk shop, you can actually come with your business plans, your business proposals, and get guidance right there and then in terms of where the challenges are, where the blockages are in your business, access the right networks to help you grow your business. So we're having the next one this Saturday in the Val, out in the Val in a place called Sebokeng, Paul, I think it's in Paul Peter Community Hall. It's a free workshop, so you can just show up, come as you are. You're going to really have a good time, and you're going to have masterclass sessions. But the beautiful thing about that is that this then becomes a build-up as we're hosting now. Between July and November, we're hosting about 8 of these free workshops. And all the details are on our website, which is joinusfortea.co.za. And we're going to have our Mecca, what we call our Mecca in November, 2,000 entrepreneurs over 2 days. It's a free workshop happening in Soweto as well. We're celebrating Township Entrepreneurs. And yeah.
And just slightly off the beaten track, do you go to rural areas? Because that's usually an area that gets neglected.
Yeah. We definitely do go to rural areas. This year, in and itself, we started going into rural areas. It is an area that is heavily neglected, and it's crazy the amount of ideas that you find in rural areas. And I think what I've always been about is and what I've always advocated for is that whether your ideas are Guamashu, Khayelitsha, Kukuletu, Seshego, or Tembisa, Soweto, Alexander, in terms of origin, doesn't matter where your ideas are from, right? But they are global in terms of standing. And us being able to create a competitive environment where the entrepreneurs are able to compete fairly without the red tape that chokes them, because it's the red tape that really muzzles and frustrates the growth of a lot of SMMEs.
So hopefully we'll get more details for you for where you will be visiting, because I think it's important work, and especially with regard to the rural areas, because as I say, these are usually the neglected areas, and this is what drives the influx of migrants into the cities, because there are no opportunities. And just in terms of funding, will there be access to people or entities that provide funding at these workshops?
So at these particular ones, no. But what we're going to do is that one of the masterclass sessions that we're going to be hosting is going to be called business structuring. And what that focuses on is compliance, how to structure your business, and also funding, how to present yourself funding ready. And because of the fact that we're doing a build-up, at the one in November, where we're going to have about 2,000 entrepreneurs as well, we're going to have over 10 different DFIs and government agencies that will be there on the day assisting entrepreneurs. But I think the funding conversation for me is a conversation in and around the entrepreneurs themselves being able to clearly articulate what they actually require. Because most of the time when an entrepreneur is telling you that they need funding, what they're trying to say is that I need market access, I need to make sales, I need to be able to structure my business so that I move it to the next level. So our then tool, or our then gain, is to then say, where are you in the ecosystem? Where are you in the playing field? And who do we then plug you into? That is why for us it becomes important that we have these mentorship sessions after the session, a 2-hour session, so that we are able to plug the entrepreneur into wherever the source is. I mean, you look, I'll make a typical example quickly. Like, we're working currently with a black ran organization called 360 Financial Group, right? What they're then also looking at doing is absorbing some of these creative ideas coming from these entrepreneurs and commercializing them and working with them, right? And massifying them. And then you then have, on the other end, we're working with Toko-san, whose key role then is absorbing these entrepreneurs to become suppliers within their chain on a national level. So that in itself then breaks the borders and barriers in terms of market access, but it doesn't limit the conversation to what we're talking about at that particular time.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Bulelani Balabala, who's the founder of the Township Entrepreneur Alliance, or T, talking to us about the role that women entrepreneurs play in the growth of the economy in townships. Well, it's time for news.